So this famous Hollywood lawyer stole millions of dollars. Now the guy's name is Tom, and Tom is 60 when this story starts, and he's a hotshot attorney living in Los Angeles, and Tom, he's kind of famous. One of the lawyers in the Erin Brockovich movie is based off of him, or was inspired by him, or something like that. But you get the point. He's well known in the business. But one day in 1999, his whole life changes, because he meets this waitress, Erika. And Tom thinks Erika is fine, and they start dating, and they fall in love, and even though she's 27 years old and he's 60, they get married. And soon she moves into his multi-million-dollar mansion to live with him and all his money. And so now Tom has everything he's ever wanted. He's a celebrity lawyer with a young wife making millions of dollars. Here's the thing about Tom, though. Whatever money he's making from practicing law, it doesn't seem to be enough for him. Because at some point, he starts stealing from his own clients. Like he'll win a big settlement for them and he'll just steal some of it and keep it for himself. And of course, his clients notice and they get all mad and they sue him. In fact, multiple clients have sued him over the years. But because he's this hotshot celebrity attorney, he's really good at keeping his record clean. He's apparently friends with all these people in power, like judges, bar officials, politicians, and he knows exactly how to bribe them, like throwing parties and sending gifts and sending money and stuff. And so, even though he gets a lot of complaints filed against him, Tom's record with the California State Bar remains perfect, and his reputation stays good, and he's able to keep getting more and more clients and keep this scam going. But anyway, now that Tom has been scamming his clients and he has all this stolen money, what is he gonna do with it? Well, it turns out his young wife Erika really wants to be a pop star. And jumping into a pop career costs a lot of money. So she needs money. Money to record, money for music videos and outfits and productions and stuff. And she's also just the kind of person who's into flashy, expensive shit. So in order to fund all of this, Tom feels like he's gotta make even more money. And this is where it all gets really diabolical. Okay, close your eyes and imagine this. Imagine you sue someone and you win a $10 million settlement, and your lawyer collects the money for you. And the people you sued, they don't pay it all at once. They pay you over time in installments. And your lawyer starts stealing a portion of the money that you won. Now, eventually, at some point, you're gonna come asking him, hey, where's the rest of the money I won? And your lawyer is gonna have to pay you something. So where does he get the money to pay you back? Well, he steals it from his other clients' winnings. He basically turns it into one big Ponzi scheme. And he's scamming each client to pay off the previous client. And that is exactly what Tom does. And so, how does he keep getting away with it? Well, he must be paying off the right people, because he comes under investigation for this, but nothing gets done about it. So he keeps working and he keeps winning massive cases and he keeps stiffing his clients out of millions of dollars. And then he'll funnel that money that he stole to fund his and Erika's lifestyle. And he's putting millions and millions into her entertainment company that she now has, and into her pop star career, into her music videos, her backup dancers, her travel, her clothes, all of that. In fact, here's a music video she did with Flo Rida, which I'm sure he got paid really well for. Okay, but then this whole thing gets even crazier. In 2015, Erika gets cast on a reality TV show, The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, which is a very popular show. And of course she says yes to this opportunity because she hopes it'll promote her and her music career. And to be fair to Erika, she seems to have the right kind of personality to do well on a show like that.
I say important shit. You say too much boring shit.
Not only that, but Tom is a rich celebrity lawyer, so sometimes he'll appear on the show too. And the two of them, they talk about how much her music videos cost to produce.
You know that video? That was an expensive video.
It was worth it.
And by the way, just to really flex all their wealth, Erika's big breakout song with her pop music is called It's Expensive to Be Me.
It's expensive to be me.
Anyway, so now they're on TV and they got this big new spotlight on them and they're getting all this attention. But even so, it still seems like no one is able to bust Tom for this Ponzi scheme he's got going on. In fact, in 2018, he wins an award, Lawyer of the Decade, for outstanding leadership and his dedication to the legal profession. You can't make this stuff up. Okay, but then, that same year, something pretty crazy happens. There's a horrible plane crash in the Pacific Ocean, and all 189 people on board, unfortunately, they don't make it. And all the passengers on board, their families, they want to file a big lawsuit against Boeing, the company that made the aircraft. And who do they hire to represent them in this lawsuit? The hottest hotshot celebrity lawyer in town who sometimes appears on reality TV, Tom. And so Tom takes them on as clients and he negotiates on their behalf. And they end up getting a settlement of $12.5 million from Boeing. And so Boeing pays the money to Tom and Tom pays the victims what they're owed. But no, he doesn't actually pay the victims what they're owed. He gives them some of the winnings, but he also takes more than $3 million for himself to pay off his credit card bills and stuff like that. He also pays off some of the settlements of previous clients that he scammed. Because remember, this is all one big Ponzi scheme. And so I assume at some point these victims notice that they didn't get all their money. And they're hitting him up like, why haven't we been paid the full amount, Tom? Where's the rest of our money, Tom? And Tom is probably coming up with bullshit excuses like, oh, it's 2 more weeks, I promise. But whatever. In reality, Tom doesn't give a damn. Because over the past 40 years of his legal career, he's had over 200 ethics complaints to the State Bar of California with 0 consequences. This dude is basically untouchable. Until at some point, the money coming in just isn't catching up with all the money he now owes to people. So his big Ponzi scheme starts to fall apart. And pretty quickly, his firm runs out of money and begins to go into large amounts of debt. I'm talking tens of millions of dollars in debt. And suddenly, boom, his firm has to file bankruptcy. Then in 2020, as he's slowly going broke, boom, Erika suddenly files for divorce. Shocker. A month later, boom, both Tom and Erika get hit with a giant lawsuit by the relatives of the plane crash victims. Then, boom, Tom gets disbarred from practicing law in California. And then, of course, bam, he finally gets arrested. And I don't have a mugshot, but here's what he looks like in real life. And he ultimately gets sentenced to 7 years in prison, and he loses his lawsuit and has to pay the families of the plane crash $2.3 million. While Erika actually gets no prison time, as she wasn't part of his law firm, so I guess she wasn't directly involved in his Ponzi scheme.